Hi, I'm Joe Scacciaferro, and this is On Location. Okay, today's guest, I don't even have words to describe her. She's got over 30 credits on off-Broadway, on Broadway. She's been a dancer. She's been a choreographer. She's a director. We met on a very unusual project during COVID, which we will talk a little bit about. Her choreographer credits are Andrew Lloyd Webber, Cinderella, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Disaster, School of Rock, On a Clear Day, Broadway Bound, blah, 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 on and on and on and on. She's got more credits than most people have even had an attempt to. So, welcome, JoAnn Hunter. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for that lovely intro.
Oh, you deserve every bit of it and more. I could have not even had you on and just talked about you for a half hour.
You're very sweet. Thank you very much. I did put lipstick on for this, though.
So did I.
Oh, I thought our colors matched.
Yes. I want to relate to different generations and different cultures. So I try to expand my abilities, and I want to be a little different here and there. And then if you've known me over the years, I have been very different.
Indeed.
JoAnn, let me ask you first, is it JoAnn M Hunter? Because I see that everywhere.
Yes, that is my professional name, but you don't have to say the M. But that is my legal professional name in with SDC and the unions I belong with. Yes.
Okay, great. And we won't talk about unions. So as we move along, one of the things my audience is going to find out immediately, you are by far the happiest, most smiling person I have ever come across under any circuit. And we've worked in a couple of tough rooms.
We have indeed. We have indeed. Why? I mean, it's just, life is hard enough. So I try, there's much to be happy about. There's much to complain about, but pros and cons, I think there are more pros and cons. So
good for you. That's an amazing outlook. Too bad nobody else knows how to do that.
Oh, thank you very much. You do. You're always happy.
I'm only happy when you're around.
What a charmer you.
I'm a mirror. I explain my personality as a mirror. If you're going to come at me hard, I'm coming right back that way. If you're going to be happy, and I'm going to be the same way. So right. I'm the reflection of you right now. Let's talk about what you're doing presently, and then we're going to go through a whole litany of things, and you're going to educate me because you're in a world that I don't know. I don't really have a depth of knowledge in. So what are you doing presently? And we'll talk about titles afterwards.
Presently, well, I just returned from Australia like 4 days ago. So I'm a little crazy. And I was doing the Joseph I did at the London Palladium in 2019, which was, thank goodness, a very big success. It was a different version of it. We just did a brand new company in Australia that will tour the country and then tour Southeast Asia. So I was just there because this is a first class production. So I want to be part of it. I have my associates, they start with the young people, and then I came in, and so it was great. And I had the really great time. I loved this company. So, and then I just got back. We had Thanksgiving. I ate a lot. I drank a lot. And then I'm getting ready to go to London, actually tomorrow night, to do a little workshop of a show that I've been in development for the last 6 years now called Super You. And we're going to do, and we're slated to go into the Arts Theatre, if everything goes well, in London in the fall of 2023. So we're going there to do a 2-week workshop. Well, they're there now doing music, and I'm going to join Monday morning to and I'm adding some dance elements, 3 dance elements, which you've never been able to do. It'll be quick, but in no staging, very little staging. But so that's next on my agenda, and then I come back, and then I'm in pre-production for Bad Cinderella here on Broadway. So it's a little kooky.
So you have a few things going on.
Just a little kooky, but
And you keep laughing. So let's talk about Super You for a minute. Are you, again, I've watched, because we've been doing a lot of the capture. You're a director or a choreographer or both?
I'm on Super You. I am both the director and the choreographer. I came on board. I was originally a choreographer on the show about 6 years ago when we were developing it, and there was another director who was wonderful on the piece, but it worked out that the creator and the producer approached me and said, we would actually like for you to take the helm, just to and it's not because this other director wasn't good. She was wonderful. It's just that she had not done a musical. Not saying that you can't, doesn't mean if you've never done a musical, you can't direct a musical. I'm not saying that at all. It's just, we were under very tight scheduling circumstances. And, I've been doing this for 800 gazillion years. So when it comes to lighting and things, I know there are certain things that you just have to know when you end a number. I was to the lighting designer, I need a pop here. I go, you have to help tell the audience when to applaud, like things like that if you've done it long enough, it's innate in a way that because you've learned it, you know what I mean? It's something that you don't. So I think that the creator and the producer, I think that they might have saw that, and that I can run the room. If someone's not running the room, then I will take over, because otherwise things won't get done. It's just, there has to be a captain in the room, no matter what, right? And so I think that's kind of how they approached me, and I was a little apprehensive because I said, listen, have you spoken with her? Because I don't want to say anything. You've got to make sure that you tie up that end before you approach me. So anyway, so that's basically how that happened. And now I am in charge. I am the captain of this ship.
There's so many things I want to talk to you about, and you just added like 5 more. Can you tell me about, I love the fact that you're not just directing the stage, you're directing the entire show, the entire atmosphere, lighting, sound, music, dance, all of that has to be brought together. And as you said, captaining all of that. And you even mentioned audience. You know how to interact, what they need to be looking at, seeing.
Right.
How do you learn that?
From experience. From experience. From working with other wonderful directors and choreographers I've worked for and under, and understanding the technical aspect. When I was younger, and even as a choreographer, actually before, when I was an associate choreographer, I never really understood what the director did. I mean, of course I understood that the director in the room, right? But the in the room is the easiest. I think the easiest part of the director. The director is the giant umbrella that everybody else sits under. And who's holding that umbrella, of course, is the producer, the money people, right? It is the director's vision. And then a good director, a smart director, will then bring in good people, a good choreographer, a good lighting designer, a good sound designer, people that they trust, that they know that they can take their department and make things happen under your vision, right? But you at the bottom line goes, no, it's not working. I like what you're doing there, but you have to figure out how to tweak it. So you have to step back and take a look at the whole thing. You have to get everybody on board. So all that work happens before you even get into a rehearsal room. So, and that's what I learned. But way later in life, I thought, oh my God, directing is so much more than just dealing with the actors and the dancers in the rehearsal room. That is the easiest part I think, in directing. It's all the other stuff. And I'm talking about from management, all that stuff that you have to deal with, and you have to be able to filter and navigate, and also learn how to delegate. And that's why I say this, you bring in your best people that you trust, because that's important. You have to trust them, and they have to trust you because they follow your lead. So, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Did I go off on
no, that was great. I mean, again, we're of like minds, and we kind of do the similar thing the same way. But you give those people space too. You give them space to do their thing. And you said it as you were describing it. You even said, so I like what you're doing, but that lead line is critical when you're dealing with creative people who are very good at their craft and are very passionate about their craft. You have to acknowledge that before you alter that.
Absolutely. And also, like, I mean, I don't know anything about lighting. I don't know anything about sound. I don't know about set design. I just costume design. I mean, that is not my wheelhouse. I know aesthetically or vision wise, it doesn't, that works. I don't think that's working. I think something else. I think we might have missed the boat, or maybe just tweak that a little. It's like you have to be a great editor.
Good line.
You know what I mean? So that but like I said, but all those people that are working with you, because they're there, because they trust you, hopefully, right? So they know that you're going to take the lead, but they also know that they understand your lead, they understand your vision, so they're working towards your vision. That's the whole point. Everyone under that umbrella is working for one common goal, and that is the product, and that is the show. I'm in theater, so that's the show. That is the one common denominator. That's what because if that show succeeds, we all succeed. If it doesn't, we all fail.
Oh, this is great. And I want everybody to know I did not give her that line, because everybody who knows me knows the bottom line is my allegiance is to the product. I don't care about anything. I care about the product.
That's right. The product
and that's it.
Has to work, has to sell, because then we all make money.
Yes, 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 and yes. How did you learn that? I mean, there's no school, there's no class you can go to. Was there a mentor? Was there a somebody? Was it just being quiet and watching and observing as you're going along?
I think a little of all of that. I also think, and I could be completely wrong, but I'm going to say this anyway, because I do think for me, it's true, because I was a performer for so long that I know what it feels like to be on that side. Right. And I know so I know now when I run a room, when there's somebody in that front of the room, you run the room. And I always say this, what I am there to help do besides create, of course, that's what I'm supposed to do, whether it's choreography, I'm here to create, but I'm here to make sure that you, the performer, come across the best you can be. That is my job, because I don't care how clever I am or I think I am in my movement or, my vision. If the actors on stage can't take that vision and then make it their own, then it does a disservice to all of us, right? So I know for me as a creator now that is the most important, because when that happens, then the show can and has great potential to be successful. And when the show, like I said, when the show is successful, the actors continue to work. The crew continue to work. They all have gigs. The creatives get their royalties. Do you know what I mean? It's like we all continue to get our dividends with this investment.
That's great. That's great.
Right. So
you keep saying, you say things and I'm like, okay, I'm never going to get to the rest of my questions, because everything you say, I'm like, wait, I got more about what you just said. How nervous do you get? Oh. How much stress do you carry with that?
I get nervous, but I'm really good at nerves. I was, even as a performer, I was learned, nerves are good. I do think nerves are good. As long as you don't let them take over you. You've got to figure out a way to hone them in to help you. Now, sometimes easier said than done, but I do think nerves are good. Yes, so I get nervous, but I do my best not to show anybody, because I'm half Japanese and half Irish, and the Japanese side is you don't show an emotion, and the Irish side of me is not the gregarious. Well, on my father's side, it is on me, but it was. So I've learned to just be like, I put on my poker face. I'm good. Everything's good. You know what? Because I also think if I stay calm, if whoever's the leader stays calm, everyone will stay calm. You can't. Yes. I can't. Yes. I want to be one of those people. In case of emergency, you can depend on me. I will get everyone out of the burning building. That's what I want to. do that. So, what was the question?
Do you get nervous? But you just answered it.
Yes, I do get nervous and stress. Yeah, but I'm good at hiding all that because of I think because of my upbringing. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying.
Right. No, yeah.
I mean,
but you know what? If
it all stays.
I've said it, people ask me all the time because, oh, you've done this and you're the stages I'm on, the shows I'm on, the blah, blah, blah. They think that it gets to a point where it becomes routine. That, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, it's just that. I could do anything. I could do a high school gig and the night before I'm angst. And I've tried to explain to people, if you're not nervous, if you're not apprehensive, if you're not like constantly in that state, you don't care.
Yeah.
Because
that's right.
When you care,
that's right.
You want to bring your A game all the time.
That's right. When those nerves go, it's time to leave the business. It's time to find something
Exactly.
else.
That's the point. That's exactly because I hear that all the time. When are you going to retire? When are you going to get out? I said, the day I stop caring about this.
Yeah. I think that's really, it's true because, no matter what it is, and it's not saying that you're not confident or you don't have a vision. It's not, I'm not saying that at all. You have to walk in the room like, I have a point of view. I know what I want, and listen, what we do is art, right? It's a type of art, and art is subjective. And what you might think is fabulous, I might think is shit, and vice versa. What I think is shit, someone else goes, that's brilliant. But that is, to me, that's what's part of art, is that everyone walks away from it taking something from it, whether they don't like it or they like it, but you can't control that. All you can control is your point of view, your vision, what you see. And I'm not saying you can't go, oh shit, I was wrong. Let me, if I go this way, okay, that makes more sense. I'm not saying that you can't be free enough and open enough to learn in the process, but you've got to walk in with the flowers in hand when you go to that house. You know what I mean? You've got to come into the room. But those nerves, and all of a sudden realizing, oh man, that's not going to work. Shit. I mean, there are times when I'm choreographing, I pre-pro with my dancers and I get in the room with everybody and I was like, oh shit, that doesn't make sense. That's not reading the way I want. And I have to I have to put that ego aside and go, excuse my language. I gotta rethink that because I'm not doing it any good. I don't care how clever and, like I said, fabulous it is. If it doesn't come across with the people I have in the room, then it's not going to help the story. And then in the end, it's not going to help the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's great.
But you got to be nervous. I think nerves are good. Nerves are good.
Yeah.
Stress is good, but it comes with the territory.
Right. And you have to, like you said, you have to learn to control it. Let's back up a little bit because you touched on something which gave me a good segue here. Let's go back to dance.
Yes.
My background, which you probably don't know, I came up through the music side of the industry. So I was a musician. I'm actually a black bass player. So that's.
Well, I'm not surprised that you're a musician because you are. Because when we worked together, that first time we worked together, you were so on it and you had not seen anything really except for our rehearsal. And I was just like, I remember going, guy is really on it. So that doesn't surprise me one bit that you're a musician because you get music. You know what I mean? I didn't know you were a black bass player, but besides.
What I learned, and this is leading to the question about dance. What I know, having been in multiple recording studios, worked with tons of different kinds of artists, been on different stages. I learned that I had to. This is my focus. This is what I'm good at. This vibe, this genre of music is what I'm good at. I can do this, but I'm not good at it. It's not instinctive. It's not natural. Mm-hmm. Is dance as a performance, it's kind of the same thing as playing, correct? Am I stretching?
No, not at all. I mean, not at all. I think, I mean, let me back up. So when I was studying, when I was younger, I had a wonderful teacher. I grew up in Rhode Island who who always brought in different teachers from all over the country and Canada to teach us. So I was incredibly lucky that I was able to, I learned from so many different people. So I wasn't stuck under one teacher. Not that being, I don't mean that stuck. I don't mean that sounds a negative.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? That all I could do was just their style. Because she brought in, she had the foresight to do that, to bring it. So I learned, I was always had different teachers. So when I moved to New York City, I could pick up style on teachers like that. It was, and this is not talent. This is my mind worked that way also. I was just born with that gift or whatever, you know what I mean? But I do credit the fact that I studied with so many different people and stylistically and how they were in the front of the room that nothing fazed me. Now, that being said, there are certain stylistically worlds of movement that I don't live in. I don't live in this contemporary world. This it's not even modern. It's not like, you know, Martha Graham or that, who I loved. It's this it's not my cup of tea. It's a version of a lyrical version, which I do love, but I'm a much more of a storyteller when it comes to, in fact, it's the only way I can choreograph. I love book. I need book. I want story. I want words that can then inform me to then create movement that can then move me to the next moment. So that's where I live best. Stylistically, I'm an old school, I was brought up old school musical theater, but I can work in a contemporary world. Now I wouldn't say I'm not a street dancer or that kind of, I'm a little old right now for that. So that is not necessarily my world, but when I do go take hip hop classes, you know, just to kind of stay updated, stay current. Is it my forte? No. But if it's an element in a show that I could use, sure, I could do it. You know what I mean? If it's the whole show, it wouldn't be my cup of tea. I would not hire me. I would hire somebody else that's more right.
Got it.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I do pride myself in having many different stylistically can live in, you know, whatever's right for the show. That's the bottom line. Like, I'm sorry, I'm segueing. People ask me a lot. I get this question asked a lot. Like, what is your style? And I say, my style is whatever helps to tell the story of the show. I don't want people to go to a show and go, oh, JoAnn, oh, this looks like JoAnn Hunter. No, if I'm doing my job right, if that movement helps pillow the story to get to the end of the show, that's the bottom line. So that to me is way more. I don't want it just to have one style. I want to be able to do many things, me personally.
That's amazing.
But I want to.
I love the fact that you talk story, because story to me, again, we get questioned a lot about our careers and what we've done, and my career jumps all over the place. And from authoring books to television to movies to live event. And the bottom line to me is the reason it's all the same is it's all story. If there's no story, I can't really get involved. I'm not good I could never do news television. There's no story to it. That doesn't matter to me. I can't write articles, technical articles, because there's no story. Give me a story, and I can do music, I can do video, I can do whatever, as long as there's a story. So when you had to make the transition or decided to make the transition, you wanted to become a dancer. And you wanted to make a living as a dancer.
That's the only thing I wanted to do. Just dance. Dance and Broadway. That was it.
And that's a kind of a straightforward path, because there's auditions. You go out, you get called. Maybe you get a call back. Maybe you don't. And if you don't, you go to another audition and another audition. But when you made the move over to choreographer, first, what clicked in your head and said, I want to do that? And then second, how the hell am I going to get jobs?
Okay. Well, for the first question, nothing clicked in my head. It was never part of my trajectory in my head to become a choreographer, ever. I've said to people, all I wanted to do, Jan, I had tunnel vision. I had those things that they put on horses, right? Tunnel vision. I was always, like I had said earlier, I always had a very quick brain. So I could pick up, I could just watch and pick up movement. Like I said, not a talent. It was just something I was born with. And the more I do it, the more, of course, you hone that skill. And I was always very, when in the rehearsal room, I think people noticed that someone was having trouble. I was always trying to help, the counts on this. And so then I started being asked to dance captain, which is, basically being the vision of the eye and the ears of the choreographer once the show is open. And put in new people. So, every track, what everybody on that stage does. And then a choreographer, Rob Ashford, one day asked me if I would be his associate. And I didn't know what that meant. I was like, do I have to sign a contract? Am I stuck doing that? You know what I mean? And I knew I wanted to take a break from performing, only just because I was incredibly fortunate that I worked consistently. I had money in the bank. I had real estate. I had, so I thought I could take some downtime. So I said, okay. And I loved it. And I loved being an associate. I loved being in the room, creating, bantering, but still under the vision of the guys of the choreographer, right? And I loved it. And we worked well together. And I worked with Sergio Trujillo, who's also a dear friend of mine. And it wasn't till years that I was asked by a coworker, a peer of mine, Ray Roderick, and who asked me to choreograph a big tour that he was about to do. And I was like, what? Not me. I've never done anything, on my own. He goes, oh, you're right for this. I've been watching you. I've been following your career. And so I just finally made the decision to go, okay, really? But you know what? Let me just try it. I'll try it, see if I like it, see if I'm good at it. No one will see it because it goes on the road. Like all those pros are like, okay, I can do that. And I realized how much I enjoyed it. And it was so much more difficult or fatiguing because I'm using a whole different I'm not using my body as much as I am using my brain. So that fatigue was very different, but also very thrilling. Now getting work, that was hard. That was really hard. First of all, like you said, the dancer, okay, I go to audition, I either get the job or I don't. I go to the next audition, there's no audition. And this is when I first started, there was, the phones were cell phones were out, but there was no camera on the phones yet, I don't think. You know what I mean? And there was no video. If you wanted a video of something, you had a video camera. Right. They were small, but not the giant ones. But but still, that's how you film stuff. Nobody did that. There was no filming of rehearsals, any of that. Nothing was fun. Everything, as a dance captain, everything was in my head, and I notated it. There was no looking back on none of that. I was like, you don't know how lucky you are. It's like you couldn't use your brain constantly. You could not rely on anything visual except for live what's happening at the moment, right? So and so I was thought, no one's going to see it. Great, and I loved it. But getting work, it's just like, how do you get work? You got work because you're known. People know your work. I had not done a lot of work. I'd done this one thing or a little ditty jobs, but nothing major. And also, I think when I was starting out, and I've only been doing this, believe it or not, choreographing for about 10 years, just over 10 years. I came late into this. I transitioned late in my life. And I think being a female sometimes was hard. There's many times to this day that I am the only female on a production meeting. It might be me, maybe a stage manager, maybe a costume designer. It's more now, but that was a difficult thing. And there were only two that worked all the time, and that was Susan Stroman, Kathleen Marshall. There was Graziella Danielle, but she was a little older. She's still brilliant, but there were not. It was monopolized by men mostly. So It was not easy. It's still not easy. I always say, I'll never work again. I'll never get hired again. I say that to this day. It never goes away. I don't understand why it doesn't go away, but it doesn't.
And that's why I'm laughing. Oh, it's amazing. We're a strange breed.
Why do
Because
you do this?
we're so confident and we exude so much leadership and skill, but we are so insecure.
Isn't it the truth, right? You're like, oh, I know I can run a room. Don't worry, I can run a room. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'll never
Right.
work again. I'm never going to work again. Everyone hates me. I mean, all those horrible insecurities, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Why do we do that to ourselves?
I don't know. I could, anything I do at the end of it, I'm like, I think that sucked. I think that was horrible. Oh shit. Somebody tell me it was okay.
Yeah.
Somebody that I don't know tell me it was okay. Because my idiots are all going to tell me it's okay because they want to work for me again.
Right.
But I want,
Right.
but I want people to tell you who don't know. Because we've talked about it kind of around the circle, but let's talk about Super You for a minute.
Yes.
So my introduction to Super you were involved, as you said, in the development, 6 years, blah, blah, blah. I had met Lourdes by a mutual friend who had nothing to do with the industries. And he said, oh, you got to meet this woman. You guys are going to get along great. Lourdes is cut from the same cloth I am. There's no question. She's as out there as I am. So like she said, so I met Lourdes and Melissa. We just went out for nothing. We just went out. We're hanging out. We're talking. And Lourdes and I just clicked. I mean, immediately. She's a rock violinist.
Yeah, totally.
CBGBs.
Yes.
I wasn't even, Broadway was the last thing I was even, I don't care. Yeah, whatever. I don't really have it.
Oh, she had never done anything theatrical. This is her first venture.
Right. And then nothing. I mean, and we kind of talked on and off. That was probably end of 18, early 19. Mm-hmm. And we both kind of went off and did our things, both busy. And then I got a call in 2020.
Yep.
And just to set the table for everybody, if you're not in the entertainment business, you don't understand how, yes, the pandemic was tragic. Humanity tragic. But in the entertainment business, it was professionally tragic.
Tragic.
We stopped working, period. Never in my life, since I'm 12 years old, when I was a black bass player, I've never been out of work, ever.
Right.
Ever. I could always find a gig.
Right.
There were none.
Nothing.
There were none. And I had poured a lot of money into the development of Faro City thinking money just keeps coming. Well, money stopped coming. And I was like, crap. But we weren't working, which was another thing because it's part of our DNA.
Yes.
Like we have to work.
Yes.
I couldn't even have friends over to jam. So I was like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
I was trying to convince my wife to learn to play piano. So I had somebody to play with. She's a physical therapist. The last thing she wanted to do, she was still working.
Right.
I was like, no, please stay home and play piano.
Yeah.
Anyway, bottom line is, Lourdes calls me up. She said, listen, I got this crazy idea. I don't want to lose some of the momentum behind Super You. She said, so I'm trying to find a drive-in. And I mean, this is so like, I was like, a drive-in? Okay. She said, and I'm thinking we're going to get a bunch of pickup trucks and we're going to use the beds. And I'm trying to quickly, because I'm used to listening to visionaries and start trying to figure out, okay, what are you saying?
Right.
And how do I plug in? Right. So she went through this whole little thing and I was like, okay, I think I got it.
Yeah.
And she said, can you bring a camera up and shoot this? She said, absolutely. So my son, who's one of the most incredible camera operators in the industry, who hasn't worked. So I called him up and I said, hey, listen, I got this thing and it's weird. And I explained to him and I said, can you get Chuck, who's a great friend of ours, who has jibs all over. Chuck's another legend in the industry. Call Chuck, see if we can borrow a jib. There's no money in this. There's no money. And nobody's making money. This is just a gig. And I just want to work again. So he said, you call Chuck. You've known him longer. So I called Chuck, told him. Chuck's answer to me was, yeah, you can absolutely have a jib, but I want to operate. I said, okay, but Frank's already doing. He goes, no, I'll bring two. I was like, okay. One of my other camera ops who does Steadicam said, hey, I heard you got a gig. I said, there's no money here. This isn't a real gig. He said, I don't care. I just want to do something.
Yep.
I ended up with people calling me to want to do this crazy show that we had no idea what it was in the middle of
Armenia, New York.
upstate New York.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And we just packed up our gear like we were going to a real show.
Yeah.
And we got there and we're in the middle of a field. I met you. I met Lords, sound company. Everybody's there. And I'm like, and then I'm talking to the sound and lighting people and they're like, in my head, I went, they're all real.
These are great.
These are all real.
I mean, our sound designer he's like one of the top in on Broadway. Like it was. I mean, I'll tell you. The beginning of the story is, it was summertime. You know, it was like, and there was a big news thing that came out. I think in one of the, I was watching about a park in Brooklyn. They're opened up the park because you're outdoors, so you're feeling a little safer, to be outside during COVID. And they taped sections out on the grass so people could stay in these little sections. I can't remember the park, but it was in Brooklyn. I saw that and was like, and then I'm the one who called Melissa and Lords. I said, we have to do something. We have to do something outside. Where? I go, I don't know. Look into the band shell in Central Park. Look into the stadium in Queens that does all the rock that used to be the old tennis. You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
I said, look
Yes.
into,
Yes.
we used to do something called Broadway and Bryant Park. We would, when I was a performer, you'd perform, you just built up stage, bump. I was like, I said, and Melissa started looking, I don't know how much it costs. We have to bring everything. None of these places are loaded. There's no fly floor. And then I saw an article in the New York Times about this performing arts theater in Czechoslovakia, I believe, that decided to, they had a portable stage, and they brought it to a parking lot. They opened it up and they performed their show. I don't remember and people came in their cars and watched in a parking lot. And I was like, and I said, that's brilliant. Then, like maybe 2 days later, I hear Keith Urban, did a huge concert at a drive-in for the healthcare workers. And I was like this. I called Melissa and Lords and go, that's what we're going to do. Look at these articles. And then I happened to be driving to a friend's near Warwick, New York. And I brought my husband and I, we were driving past, and there was a drive-in there, and it was packed. And I went, look at that. People are going to the drive-ins. They're guaranteed 6 feet apart, safety, because you're in a car. Even if you get on you're guaranteed to be at least 6 feet apart already, just because of. And so I was like, and at that same time, Melissa had gone upstate to visit somebody in Armenia and saw the drive-in. So she talked to the guy, and he was like, yeah. So I was like, Armenia, I know where it is. It's an hour north from me, because we have a house upstate. I go, I know exactly where it is. And we drove up. We drove to a couple of different ones. I brought at that point, I had a lighting designer meet us and a sound designer meet us. And so we talked to the guy, and I'm looking at the screen. I go, okay, here's the problem. I was like, I said, when you're in a car, that screen is at least 12 feet off the ground. So I said, we have to be high. And so I called up our set designer. What could she do? She came and met us. She also met us. We could build a stage. All this costs money. And I was like, okay, we're just trying to, how do we do this without any money? And then I was like, oh, why don't we get 2 flatbed trucks, and we can back them up together, and I could set the women on there 6 feet apart with 2 huge trucks. And they were like, that's great. So I was like, they're up high. They're not high, but they'd be at least 4 feet off the ground. And then Melissa, our producer, I think somehow found this. No. It was the guy who owned the Armenia. He said, oh yeah, we have these comedians coming in. And I go, what do you mean? They're coming, they're going to perform I said, well, how are they going to perform? They have to be elevated. I said, they have to be elevated. And he said, yeah, they're going to bring pickup trucks, and they're going to stand in the back of pickup trucks. And that's where that idea came from. I went, that's phenomenal. So then Melissa found this dealership 2 towns over that said, yeah, you can use our trucks for free. So I went with Melissa and picked out the trucks. I want 2 of those, and 1 of those. So 5 women. And I had them back them in. They said, load them in. I go, and then I placed them how I wanted them on one straight and angle. I was like, how lighting designer came, put some lights on the beds of the trucks. All the women were safe, 6 feet apart. They had their own mini stage. That's how that idea happened, because of these 2 comedians who were going to bring their own trucks. And I went, and it'll be easier than getting 2 flatbeds coming in. And that is how that happened. And then I was like, okay, so all we need is sound equipment. So Brian Rona, who's the sound designer, who happens to be my husband, but we called up Sound Associates, Peter Fitzgerald, who basically donated all the equipment. He goes, all I need to do, we just have to somehow give the workers, like Brian said, I don't get paid, but all my crew has to get something. Throw them a stipend, food, taxi. Same with the actors. I go, we have to just throw him something, $100, anything just to show. But all of us, no one else got paid. And we did 2 shows. And that's when I met you and Chuck Goslin, the Jim, who lives in Danbury, who we correspond all the time.
Right.
Like all of this equipment, and not just the equipment, Joe, but your knowledge. Donating your talent and your knowledge, not just the equipment. The equipment is icing, right? Not even icing. The equipment is fabulous, but the equipment does shit unless people who know what they're doing know how to use it and know how to navigate it. And I remember you and I standing. I was like, okay. Then I think I was like, no, camera there, and you were camera there. We were both looking. I remember you were like, hey, we're both directing. And it was pouring rain. Remember, it was pouring rain out.
Yeah. Oh,
I remember the sound Brian they had to cover all the sound equipment over with tarp and just going and could not do a sound check. And then all of a sudden the rain stopped, the sun came out, and we literally sound checked just in time for dinner and to do the show. Yeah.
And I'll add one lighting situation, because when I was talking to the lighting designer, and it's just fabulous. This is pretty. Oh, this is real nice. They're useless for us. I said, first off, it's light out, but when the show goes, it's going to keep getting darker and darker and darker and darker. And at some point, our cameras will just go into the mud and you're not going to see anything. So we were trying to figure out big lights. So when him and I were talking, and I said, we need like real lights, like film lights. And he was like, how are we going to get those? And I said, call DPW. Ask them if they have road lights. So then we got literally DPW brought big, huge road lights. And then I'm assuming it was your husband or one of the sound designers said to me, well, that's great, but those are on generators and that's going to kill our mics. So it was, and we're all doing this like this. Like everybody's thinking as fast as you possibly can.
Absolutely. I remember when those lights came in, I go, oh my God, those lights are basically, so if anyone who drives on a freeway, when they're doing road construction at nighttime, those are the lights we had.
Yeah. And that came from my heritage because we're Italian. We're all contractors. And I know it worked.
Yep.
And then you go back to, and then we'll end on this story, was when I didn't even know what this show was.
Right.
And I had to direct all my cameras, and I've got jibs that are moving. Oh it's God. Not like they can whip. They have to move and sweep. And then I said, okay, how do I know what's going to happen? And the stage manager, he's going to call cues for lighting. Right. I said, okay. So him and I talked, and I said, okay, you're going to call my cues so I know what truck is going to be singing. I don't care the person. Just tell me what truck. We numbered the trucks. Tell me what truck. Mm-hmm. And then, so we started doing it in rehearsal, and I was like, you can't call it on the note. You have to call it a measure ahead because I have to then get the camera to position.
Right.
It was
amazing.
One of the most challenging things I've ever done, and I had the single most fun. And all of us who hadn't worked It was like we went from 0 to 100 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the best. And then I met all of you.
Yeah.
And it was just so much fun. All of us.
It was brilliant. It was like, we had everything going against us. But you know what? But there was not one moment where people like, fuck you. Like, it was just like, okay,
No.
let's make it work. You know, Sam, make it work. Go, okay, let me talk to the electrician. Let me talk to Boom. Let me talk to Dude. Let's go. We're like, there was no. There was like, okay, let's figure it out. We'll make it work. And I'm always from that world. You know what? I'll make it work. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we're doing something enjoyable during a really difficult time in our history, right? Of our world. And we got to do it. And it was all this pouring rain. I remember Lawrence, who was our creator. She had got her hair blown out. We have similar hair. Humidity comes, right? Her hair's all blown, all cute. She had cute little things. And as the day went on, her hair just got bigger. And I said, nice hair, Lawrence. It was hysterical. I was like, who cares? I said, it's poor. I mean, and then Melissa brought big umbrellas, because I said, if it's raining for this show, I was like, they've got mics on. I was like, everyone's going to have to hold an umbrella. So we had umbrellas, different colors, just in case. You know, and I remember doing rehearsal. They're like, JoAnn, what about the umbrella? I go, if it's raining, that umbrella will not leave your side. You will keep it on. I had a stage manager, because when Lawrence had to play her violin, I was like a second stage manager, so that she sat the back of the truck the whole show, just in case the rains came, so we could put it over Lawrence's head while she played the violin. It was like, this is plan A, this is plan B, and we'll make it work. And you and your team were just like brilliant with just knowing all of that, and working with Chris Zicardi, our stage manager, calling, who was brilliant, and he brought up a team from Pace University, all these young kids. I want to come. Like, everyone just came out of the woodworks and go, yes.
Yeah. Chris was great. Chris, and there, like, as you said, there was no edge at all.
No edge.
And for me, as soon as I can identify who's in charge, who the captain is, I'll if there's not, I'll do it.
Right.
But if there is, I just need to know who that person is.
Right.
And within a half hour, watching you move, watching you interact with every discipline, all the crafts, you kept moving around, and I went, okay, that's the person I got to pay attention to. That's the person who is going to give me, and like we talked about earlier, Ed, that's the person I'll learn from. Because I always look for somebody. I will want to leave this event, this gig, and I want to have learned something. And I look for that person who can teach me something.
That's great.
Sometimes they teach me a bad thing.
But
and I go, oh, okay, you're an idiot, so I'll never do that.
But it's true, though. You know what? I always say, don't be the smartest person in the room. Because if I'm like that, I don't want to be. We'll be in trouble if I am.
Yeah. No.
I want to surround myself with smart people.
Right. Yes. And when the house catches on fire, I want to look to, okay, where was that person who knew how to get out of here? That smart person, where did she go? Because that's the person I'm going to stand behind.
Exactly.
Okay, I can't even believe how much time we've burned here. There's so much that I didn't even touch on, but this was great. You are fabulous. If the opportunity arises again, I would love to have you back on. You're going to be a major asset to the younger generation that is part of Faro City, and you're going to be a major asset to all the other sectors that don't know what goes on in all these other worlds. It's such a shame. I want to have one day, I just want to have a big Woodstock with all the pros from all the different industries and just hang out together for a weekend. I just think it would be so sick.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and only you have to be of a certain generation that understands what Woodstock actually was.
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, cool. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Safe travels. Enjoy. Tell the crew I said what's up.
I will indeed. I absolutely will. Absolutely.
And when you get back, we'll talk again.
I would love that. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I talked too much. Sorry about that.
No, it was great. It was awesome. It was so entertaining. At times I forgot I was supposed to actually be asking questions. I was just like this. right, Joey, take care.
Thank you very much. Take care.